I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The rest of the media may have forgotten about the IRS political targeting scandal, but we here at Opinion Journal have not.
Now, of course, one reason the Obama administration, or I should say regime, was so anxious to get involved in yet another war was to cover up the scandals here at home. Remember the IRS scandal? We certainly do. And it is much broader, much more severe than anything that Nixon was impeached for. And he was impeached for using the IRS against political enemies.
Here with new news about the woman at the center of all of this, Lois Lerner, is assistant editorial page editor James Freeman. James,
hi, Mary.
New news out of the House investigation. What have the emails turned up?
Well, this is still more evidence that the story we were told when this scandal broke last spring was false. You remember originally, then head of the IRS, Steve Miller, says rogue employees in Cincinnati. Lois Lerner essentially says the same story, that leadership was unaware, and we're learning about this through the press. Go back to 2012, IRS leadership denied that there was any targeting of conservatives going on. Now that we know that happened, and what we're seeing this week is more emails specifically from Lois Lerner showing that not only was IRS senior leadership involved, but she was involved very closely in directing this targeting.
This is what Lois Lerner said a few months ago.
Members of this committee have accused me of providing false information when I responded to questions about the IRS processing of applications for tax exemption. I have not done anything wrong.
Well, eventually the truth comes out. She said that in hearings in May. But we learned today that emails in February of 2011, she advised her staff, she said counsel and her advisor, Judy Connell, need to be in on this, talking about the Tea Party audits. She said Cincy should not have these cases. That would be Cincinnati.
So we know now then that this was really a D.C.-centric operation.
Absolutely.
And that
not being run out of Cincinnati. And one of the emails this week is Lerner saying, not Cincy. This is not where it should be run. It's run out of Washington and at a very senior level. Carter Hull, longtime IRS manager, testified this past summer to the House that it was happening above his pay grade. So it's in Washington. It's very senior leadership. And as they keep investigating up the chain, the question is, whoever ultimately was directing this, were they doing it because they had been listening to a lot of President Obama's speeches, as Kim Strassel has done a lot of reporting in that area, or was it a more direct order?
Well, we don't know. It is still the middle of the investigation. How far have House investigators gone? Who is next in terms of the line of questioning?
There's still a ways to go here, and let's hope they have the patience for it, because I know politics, obviously, it's easy to get distracted. There's always a new issue on Capitol Hill. But so far, I think they're sticking with it, and if they're patient, they're going to keep working up that chain, and it's including this what appears to be a vast office of the chief counsel at the IRS. We know that office was responsible for part of this, and what's not clear is exactly who in that office is calling the shots. We also know that Sarah Hall Ingram was another interesting character in this drama, because she's been involved at the IRS both in the exempt institutions area, where the targeting of conservatives went on, and in the implementation of Obamacare.
Wow,
so
twofer.
Very, very interesting. You're going to see her get, if she hasn't already been deposed by investigators on that other House committee, House Oversight, she probably will be within the next week or so. And then I would expect her to come for a hearing. Also with Lois Lerner, I would expect we would see her at another hearing. If she ends up If House investigators end up giving her immunity, I think they better get a lot in return, because what we're seeing in these emails is she was not on the level when she told this story in May.
Now remember, in May, the testimony from IRS Commissioner Steven Miller was saying that this was just the work of 2 rogue employees in Cincinnati, and Ms. Lerner suggested that her office had been totally unaware of the pattern of targeting conservative Tea Party groups until she read about it in the newspaper. Finally, there's this admission in the emails. A Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee complained to the FEC that conservative groups like Crossroads GPS and Americans for Prosperity should be treated as political committees rather than 501c3-4s. She said, perhaps the FEC will save the day, she wrote back. There you go. That's the political targeting that they're looking at.
Tall tales. About 30 seconds left, James. I'm glad you raised the politics here because Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have come out very strongly now against the Inspector General of the IRS, J. Russell George, who has largely underlined and confirmed what House investigators have found. What does this tell you about how they might respond as this investigation moves
It's a real
forward?
question. I mean, I would say, if anything, that IG was not aggressive enough pursuing this, but I don't see how they can say anything he's done to this point has not been at least bare minimum for what a person charged with his role should be doing. I wonder what's going on here, because we keep hearing this insistence that it was not directed by political leadership. May be true, may not be true. But if they're convinced this was not directed by political leadership, why the Democratic move to fight this inquiry? You would think.
Yeah, they'd want to just tell the truth.
You would think they'd want reform to happen.
You'd think.
Maybe not.
We're going to follow the story. Assistant Editorial Page Editor James Freeman. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Barry.